Hi, I'm Bob Tapper, and I spent over 25 years in corporate real estate in California until I decided it was time for something completely different. Now I live in Portugal, and this podcast is here to help you do the same, covering everything from visas, housing, and insurance to culture and community, what day-to-day life is really like here. And through it all, one thing has always remained true. It's never too late, you're never too old. Be courageous and honor your passions. Welcome to Life Abroad in Portugal. Hey everybody, welcome back to the podcast. I am here with Charles Dexter Lim. Thanks for joining me, and I found you on social media. So maybe you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from and how you chose Portugal.
Sure. So my name's Charles. I was born in Metro Manila in the Philippines. I moved to the US in my 20s, worked and lived there mostly in the Bay Area in California for about 25-ish years. And then I quit my job about 2 years ago now. And first, my initial plan was to travel the world for about 3 years, going into different continents. I did Europe first, spent 3 months there, spent 3 months in Asia. And then my last stint was supposed to be going on 3 months around South America. But certain events that happened last year, I don't know if you care to talk about that, but what happened in November last year, I decided to move up my timeline because I was actually going to use that 3 years of traveling to decide where I wanted to live next. Even despite what happened last year, I was actually looking to move somewhere else. I accelerated that timeline. I was looking into different countries which should I move into, and I landed into choosing Portugal for a bunch of different factors and criteria.
Did you take a trial trip to Portugal just to see that that's where you wanted to be?
Well, not a trial trip per se, because I was still doing my world travel, if you will, but I did go to Portugal October of last year. So I spent about a month in Portugal, 2 weeks in Lisbon, 2 weeks in Porto. I did not spend any time at all in where I am at right now, which is in Coimbra, but I got a good sense, a good taste of Portugal. I didn't do any further scouting trips though before I decided to start the process for relocating here.
Got it. So that's what I'm really interested in. And that's what I try to share with people who are listening is that everybody's story is different. Everyone's path is different. If you're in the US or you're somewhere else in the world and you're thinking of moving to Portugal, hearing other people's stories and hearing what other people went through can be helpful. And there might be a little nugget of information in there that they get that they didn't know about. And so that's what I want to talk to you about and talk about your particular process. So you a citizen of the US?
Yes.
Okay. So when you made that decision, I'm going to definitely relocate to Portugal. What was your first step?
So my first step was I hired a company to help me with the process. I wasn't comfortable about doing the D7 visa process on my own. That was the particular visa that I wanted to use to move to Portugal since I wasn't working last year at that time. Digital nomad visa is something that some people choose to use, but I didn't want to go through that particular route.
And the D7 is the passive income visa.
Correct. D7. That was also one of the criteria that I chose Portugal for, was I just have enough passive income to qualify, not the bare minimum, because that would be dangerous, right? You're dealing with the exchange rate between the euros and the dollars, but I have enough passive income to qualify me and to actually live off of that in Coimbra. And that's why I also chose Coimbra for the cost of living as well.
So the company that you went through, are they a company based in the US or is that a company here in Portugal?
No, they're actually based in Europe. And one of their locations is in Lisbon. I believe they also have other locations in other countries. They got me through the D7 visa process, and they're actually going to help me up until I get my residence permit, hopefully next year.
So you started the process while you were in the US with this company that's in Europe.
Correct.
So what did they do for you, first of all?
So after I had that initial meeting with them to see if it works between me and them, they did an initial check based on my information. I gave
Mhm.
them my passport information. They just did some due diligence checks on their end.
All right. So my consultant, the first thing that they did is they got me a NIF number. So I am assuming that that's probably the
Yes,
first
yeah,
thing that your company did as well.
correct. So they got me the NIF. And some people said you could just get that on your own. I have no idea whether I could do that. I think some people have to go to Portugal to actually do that. Some people hire a separate company to do that. So they got their NIF for me. They also helped me initially refer me to find some housing. Housing is a big issue that people have with finding in Portugal. So they connected me initially with a real estate agent in Lisbon. So even though that the company referred me to a real estate agent, I also did some for that portion. I looked it up on my own. I looked up a lot of listings through Idealista, and then I thankfully landed on a place that I like in Coimbra. So that's how I
Okay.
ended up in Coimbra.
So again, you're still back in the US. So did they send you a lease
Yeah.
agreement and you paid them and everything from the
Good question.
US?
So that's where the company sort of guided me and helped me with that. So they said, oh, okay, Charles, you need a lease agreement, a 1 year lease agreement with your landlord. So they helped me with that because it had to be in Portuguese, right? And then
Yep.
they helped with the translation as well. And one important thing that I don't know if people who do it on their own that might miss is they told me that, oh, you have to ask your landlord to register the lease with the Financas or
Finance. Yeah, exactly. The
the
finance.
finance authorities, basically. So to make sure it's legit, it's paying all the taxes and whatnot. So those were two important things that they helped me with regard to that. And basically, the company also helped me with quite a huge laundry list. So they helped me actually set up a bank account. So that's another challenge that a lot of people have, opening a Portugal bank account. And I wasn't
Yep.
even in Portugal. So they referred me to somebody from an account manager in a bank in Portugal. I had to fill out, I think, like almost 12 different forms.
Yeah.
And
Not surprising.
I had to mail the original to them. And I even had some problem. Well, not a problem, but after I sent it to them, they asked me, oh, it needed to be in the A1 or A15 paper. They have a different type of paper here in Portugal compared
Yeah.
to the US, right? We just have like 8.5
Yep.
by 11. In the
Right.
US, they have A1 paper here. So they required me to redo it in A1 and
Yep.
send it all over again. So that was a little bit painful, but I got the
Yeah.
bank account and I got the funds sent. And since I was working with a company that had a connection in Portugal, I was comfortable with the bank setup. And one of the requirements is that you have to have a bank account with a minimum of 10,440 euros as of today, right?
Right.
Um, so you have to have that. I didn't have to have that right away when I opened the bank account, but once I am able to log onto the bank account, closer to my PFS appointment, I'd say actually 2 to 3 months before that, I moved the money. So I have it for 3 months worth over there.
Yep.
They also help verify my passive income, like what type of things they're looking for. So I work with my brokerage for that as far as getting statements for passive income coming out of my retirement
Yep.
account. So I did that.
So do you just what you wire money from the US directly into your Portuguese bank account? Is that how you
Once I was able to get access to the bank account, as part of opening the bank account, I just needed the wiring information from that bank. And
Yep.
then I had to initially set up an initial wire. Once I'm able to log into the bank later on, I wired the stuff on my own just by logging in online and sending the money from there.
Okay.
And the FDI background check, right? That's another big thing that people might
Yep.
not be familiar with. So they helped me with the steps on how to do that, like where to go. For that, I went to a location in San Francisco. I was living in San Francisco at that time. So I went to a location in San Francisco, just like similar to UPS store, got my fingerprints. When you get your FBI background check, you could get a paper version and you could get the PDF or both. I did both just to be on the safe side. But for the PDF, there's a company that they referred me to, which I just sent them the PDF and then they took care of the apostle process to work with whoever they needed to work on the government side. And then I got back printed PDF with apostle
Right.
that I was able to show to the VFS and it worked. So I'm guessing
Yep.
I did it correctly. So
All right. And then back to the residential lease that you got for your apartment.
Mhm.
How did the landlord get the money? Did you wire it from your Portuguese bank?
I wired it from my US bank account. I don't know if you've mentioned it in your other podcast, but one thing that unfortunately is part of your application is your rent has to start from the time you do your
Mm.
VFS appointment,
Yeah.
even though you're not technically gonna use your apartment right until you actually move to Portugal. So I needed a lease that started from the time I did my VFS appointment until the time I actually moved to Portugal. There was some initial things I had to work with on my landlord. I was communicating with her via email. She could speak English, but she's Portuguese, right? So her preferred language is Portuguese. But with Google Mail, it could translate it automatically for you. So it was working for both of us, right?
So I got the lease. So you were able to do all this from the US. You got your signed lease all paid for,
Yes.
got your bank account open, got that funded, got the fingerprints all done. So it sounds to me like you're ready for the VFS appointment. So did you schedule that yourself or did your consultant help you with that?
Good question. They scheduled it for me. And after having read through a lot of comments where people struggle to even get a VFX appointment,
Yeah.
I'm very happy that they were able to get it for me because I never went through that struggle of having to check the website every day just to snag an appointment.
And did you go to the VFS office in San Francisco?
Yes, because I lived in San Francisco, you have to go with the jurisdiction that the VFS supports. Luckily, I live in San Francisco and my VFS was in San Francisco.
All right. So my consultant, prior to my VFS appointment, we had a Zoom meeting and I literally held up every document and it was in the right order. And she said, this Portuguese good, it's English. So did your consultant do that? And did you feel prepared going into the meeting?
Yes, so we also had a Zoom meeting similar to yours. I wasn't holding up documents, but he set up a Google Drive for me where we uploaded scanned documents of each document that I was having to bring. The company also helped me with getting health insurance. I had no idea what health insurance was appropriate for the application. So I
Right.
had to take two types of insurance, travel insurance for a whole year. So they referred me to a company that I could purchase that. So I had travel insurance for a year. But in addition to that, I also had private health insurance in Portugal. And I believe the VFS took both. They only asked for the travel insurance actually. When you go to your VFS appointment, they actually by default want your passport. I wanted to hang on to my passport and my company said, you could hang on to your passport if you give them a letter saying why you need to hang on to your passport. So they helped me draft that and the VFS allowed me to do it.
All right. So in April, you're at the VFS meeting, you managed to keep your passport. Then I assume that you stayed in the US until you heard back?
I
Or
stayed in the US for a while, but I was expecting it to only take hopefully 10 to 12 weeks or like 2 to 3 months.
right, because they say 30 to 90 days, right?
Yeah, but the VFS officer, to be fair to them, right? So she did already warn me it's going to take a minimum of 12 weeks. So
Oh
she
my,
warned me right there. So my VFS appointment was April 5th. I got my visa approval on the first week of July, second week of July.
oh
So
my
it's
gosh.
just a little bit after that 3 month process. I don't know how long it's taking people nowadays to get their passport back. But to go back to last year, I decided I'm actually renting my place in Portugal. Why not go there and check out my place? Because I've never seen it in real life. Let me check it out. Maybe I'll stay there for a while until I get my visa approved.
So you get the email, then you go back to San Francisco.
Mhm.
You dropped off in person. You dropped off your passport.
Yes, I dropped off my passport in person at the Portugal embassy in San Francisco.
Okay, and then within a week they sent it back to you.
Basically, I would even say almost the next business day because I dropped it off
Mm.
on a Friday and then I got it back on a Monday.
Okay, quick service. And then so you get your passport. That nice visa takes up one whole page in your passport.
Mhm.
Now you got to come back to Portugal because that stamp after the D7 visa, that stamp in your passport is really crucial.
Yes.
So tell me your path. Where did you go?
So my only option was they offered me to go through Frankfurt. When you enter Frankfurt, basically you enter the Schengen zone, right? And then I have a stamp from Frankfurt. But once when I flew from Frankfurt to Lisbon, I don't go through passport control anymore. Then I told my company, is this okay? Because I don't have a stamp in Portugal, right?
Yeah,
And they said it was okay. Just hang on to your boarding pass and then show it
exactly.
your IMA appointment. Yeah.
That's so interesting that you brought that up because my path was exactly the same. I went through Frankfurt,
Mm,
and so my stamp is a Frankfurt stamp. And then I flew
okay.
Frankfurt to Porto. And my consultant said, no, that's fine. The stamp just needs to show that you've re-entered the Schengen zone, not necessarily that you've re-entered Portugal. So I'm in
Correct.
the same position you are. So hopefully with us, it's going to work.
Mine,
Did your visa stamp come with a URL that gave you your IMA appointment?
good question. And my company, the one that I was working with, was also bracing for this. So they already prepared to tell me, Charles, you may or you may not get an IMA appointment. And I was lucky when I got visa, it had the URL. And when I checked the URL, I do have an IMA appointment. It is next year though. So it's on March 5th of 2026. And my
Yeah. So
visa was stamped on, my visa is from August 5th to December 2 of this year.
so the visa that's in your passport
Mhm.
doesn't start until August?
Because that's when I told them I was planning to go to Portugal when
Oh, okay.
when I got visa approval. So they do
Oh,
ask you
yeah.
when you plan to travel to Portugal. So you have some breathing room, right? Because some people maybe when their visa gets approved, they might not be ready to move to Portugal right away. And so they're nice in that aspect that they ask you, oh, when do you plan to fly?
Yeah.
Because if you don't fly, you know, oh, I'm gonna fly there in like 3 months time, then you might fly by the time your visa expires, which is not a good
Yeah.
thing.
Your appointment's not till next March. I guess that just shows how backlogged they are.
They
I mean,
are
they gave me my appointment in April for August. That was even a ways away. So your D7 visa is still valid. You're in the middle of
yes,
that August through.
August through December 2nd. But, you know, of course, I did ask my company about that. So what happens, right? There's this gray area from
Yep.
December 2nd until my IMA appointment. And they said, no, Charles, you're okay. Your visa is actually valid until your IMA appointment and actually even until you get your residence permit. Of course, they don't recommend that I fly out of Portugal during that gray area time because there might be more scrutiny from Portugal or even other
Right.
Schengen countries in general
Right.
too, right?
That is the position that I find myself in that gray area, and so many other people that I meet. I mean, I host a monthly meetup. We meet every Tuesday morning here in Porto, and
Mm,
we were all in the same position. All of our visas had expired, and we're all waiting for our IMA appointments. So
yeah,
that's the frustrating thing is not being able to travel. Although I don't know about you, it sounds to me like you love Portugal as much as I do, and this is not the worst place to have to be. I just
exactly.
love it here so much. So, but that was where I was going with my question because when you were just in London, well, wait a minute, why are you traveling?
Why?
If
Okay.
you're so now I
Well,
understand why. But I always
yeah.
like to say as well, I'm not offering any legal advice.
Yes, yes.
We're
We're
just
not we're
sharing.
not immigration lawyers. Yeah.
We're just sharing our
Yes.
experience. You're all set then. You're living in Coimbra,
Mhm.
just awaiting next month. It seems like a long ways, long ways away to have to wait for you. But then you're going to continue to work with the consultant. I think it's smart that a consultant that you should pay as you go because it's a long process. So I know I'm paying extra because I'm hiring them to come with me to the IMA meeting. I don't know if that
Same.
was offered to you or not. Are you same thing?
Yeah.
I think that's smart to do.
And I only asked that from them because I saw in a video or heard from someone that certain offices in Portugal, they might not speak English to you.
Mhm.
I asked my company, can I get a translator to come with me? And actually, they even offered better than that. They said, oh, we actually offer a service where not only a translator would go with you, but actually a lawyer so that they could square any issues right away.
Tell me, why did you choose Coimbra? I mean, I understand value and price and so forth, but did you check out other areas of Portugal as well? I know Lisbon's really expensive, but are you settled for a while in Coimbra?
Good question. So I chose Coimbra primarily for price, right? So I'm in this studio, which is behind me right now. So a small studio furnished, and I chose it for the price. I did consider other cities such as Braga. I've heard good things about Braga. I still haven't been there. I've heard Coimbra has, it's a college town. It has the University of Coimbra. It's vibrant. It's near a body of water, like the Mondego River. Braga
Yep.
doesn't have a body of water, I heard. I don't know if that's true or not. And then it has a good healthcare system. It has, I think, 2 or 3 hospitals nearby, and I've heard is a pretty good hospital compared to Porto and Lisbon. I did consider Porto, and because of the weather, Porto, I think I could do it if I stretch my budget a little bit and then cut back
Yeah.
on certain things. So I'm not opposed to that. Maybe later on.
It's got very San Francisco-ish kind of vibes, actually, right?
Yes.
It's the chilly,
Yes.
rainy winters and yeah.
And the weather too. But yeah, Coimbra's nice. I like Coimbra. It's not as busy as Porto or Lisbon. It's not as crowded either. They have a lot of events and shows, and it's actually very vibrant for much more than what I expected.
Yep. Culture. There's some culture there.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, thank you so much, Charles, for sharing your story, and hopefully it'll help other people. And I just really enjoy hearing what you went through. And we're kind of on the same path, and I look forward to staying in touch with you. I know that you're on TikTok, you're on Instagram. I can post
Yeah,
those links down in the show notes as well. But you're very
sure.
active on those social media sites, aren't you?
Yes, I'm more active in TikTok nowadays. I still have my Instagram handle, but I use it actually more as a consumer, not a creator there. Maybe that will change later on. But yeah, definitely, people can reach me through either platform.
Okay. And it's
Lost
on
in
TikTok?
Portugal,
Lost
lost in
in Portugal.
Portugal and TikTok. But my handle, an easy way to search for it is actually my username in both TikTok and Instagram. It's at sign then CDLIM.
Perfect. Okay. I'll add that below. And hey, I've not been to Coimbra, but when I'm there, I'd love to have coffee with you.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah.
And
Good luck in your IMA
and
appointment.
say,
I hope everything goes well. End of this month,
yeah,
right?
me too. Me too. We'll stay in touch. Thank you,
Yeah.
Charles.
All right. Take care.
Hey, thanks for listening to Life Abroad in Portugal. If you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a quick review, tap some stars, or just reach out and say hello. You can also find more at lifeabroadinportugal.com, including details on my monthly meetups here in Porto and how to book a one-on-one consultation if you're planning to move. All the links are in the episode notes, and I really appreciate you being here.